Today, we got a magical battle of epic proportions. Doctor Strange versus Spawn. Who wins? Well, let's find out. Dr. Stephen Strange was once a gifted but egotistical surgeon who sought out the Ancient One to heal his hands after they were wounded in a car accident. Instead, the Ancient One trained him to become Master of the Mystic Arts and the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth. Now, being the Master of the Mystic Arts and the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange is obviously one of the most powerful sorcerers in the world. He uses mystical energy invoked by spells or incantations that allow him to project mystical energy as bolts, slashes, binds, or shields. He can manipulate the forces of the universe, manipulate matter and various forms of energy, and transmute and control elements. Strange can also open or seal portals to other realms, teleport or travel through dimensions, and he's even demonstrated control over dimensions and reality. He can turn intangible and invisible, project himself into the astral plane, communicate with the dead, manipulate dreams, summon supernatural beings, and he's demonstrated vast mental capabilities like telepathy and telekinesis. Doctor Strange can also channel the virtually limitless power of mystical and non-mystical beings, which has given rise to the saying that Doctor Strange is just as powerful as the god that he invokes. For instance, he's been able to call upon the powers of Sidorak, Agamotto, and Hogith before. He's also quite capable of utilizing black magic, although Strange tends to do so under the most extreme circumstances. Then he also has a formidable arsenal of magical artifacts, most notably the Eye of Agamotto and the Cloak of Levitation. The cloak functions as a sort of third set of hands for Strange, allowing him to entangle opponents, fly, and levitate. It's also virtually indestructible and has shielded him from attacks before. Then the Eye of Agamotto is an artifact with many different uses, such as vastly enhancing his psychic powers, and allows for interdimensional travel, serves as a protective talisman, and also irresistible offensive weapon. Then in the other corner we have Spawn. Albert Al Simmons was a highly trained assassin, but was murdered by his employer and former friend at Chapel. He sold his soul to one of the many rulers of hell, in order to see his wife Wanda Blake again. However, the demon had other things in mind for Al, and sent him back to Earth with no memory as a hellspawn, one of his soldiers, to do his bidding. The source of Spawn's powers come from necroplasm, which gives him his superhuman strength and durability. He's even been able to easily lift an entire building and throw it. Spawn's main weapon is a symbiotic suit, which is called Letha of the Seven Hatha K, or Kevin Say Letha. The costume feeds off the necroplasm in his body, but the suit can also be powered by the evil from humans, certain animals like insects or bats, or even different parts of the city itself. This suit is actually connected to his central nervous system, and that allows him to control all parts of the suit, and the suit even protects him when he's unconscious. Spawn uses the suit to create chains and spikes, and he's even able to attack enemies with his cape, and the cape has been able to cut and dismember limbs. Now what's interesting is that Spawn's powers are really only limited by his imagination, but because of his military training, he often prefers to use firearms instead of his powers. Spawn also has powers that are unique to him and other hellspawns don't have. He can detect when someone is in danger or has been killed, and he's also able to feel negative emotions like pain, hatred, and misery. There was a time when Spawn possessed 6,000 souls inside his body and drew upon their powers, but those souls have now been removed. However, he still has access to their knowledge and experience. Spawn also has access to a plethora of magical powers, as long as he has the energy storage to perform the abilities. Spawn can breathe hellfire, shoot energy blasts from his hands, generate electricity, set people on fire, can create and control plants, summon a hellspawn army, teleport, turn intangible and invisible, phase through objects, stop time, resurrect the dead, has a healing ability, and can launch telepathic attacks, and has its own version of the penance stare, where instead of making people feel the pain of their past, souls that they have injured or wronged actually come back and attack the person's soul. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, the first thing we've got to address is Strange's vastly different and varying levels of power. For starters, there's actually no such thing as a classic Doctor Strange and current Doctor Strange. It's just always been Doctor Strange, the one and only. And this is according to the writers. Then we can also see that Strange is powerful in a solo series, but he isn't nearly as powerful when he's on a team, like the Defenders or the Avengers. But you can make a pretty solid argument that his top level is probably somewhere below, but still capable of transacting with Hell Lords and abstract beings like Infinity. However, there are plenty of times where he has trouble with less powerful opponents, and that's what makes this fight difficult. And we can actually see this in a lot of Strange's comics as well. Like recently, Doctor Strange easily defeated Norn from the Great Society, a being who was able to stop several incursions all by himself, and released a powerful demon that was able to defeat the rest of the Great Society, a Justice League copycat. But then he was taken out by a bunch of black swans, due to a weakness to the chaos that they represented. And then when the new Avengers fought against the Hand under the Elektra Scroll, Strange didn't add anything to the fight, while he would theoretically could have easily defeated all the ninjas by himself. That kind of thing happens all the time. So how do we rectify these high and low showings? Well, any character that's been around as long as Doctor Strange is bound to have some inconsistency. But Doctor Strange is a Sorcerer Supreme and Guardian of the Dimension against all evil, and he wouldn't be much of a Sorcerer Supreme if he couldn't actually battle against and defeat these threats. So it looks like Strange's higher showings are more his intended level of power, but you still gotta account for the inconsistency. Now onto the actual fight. Strange's weakness here is his lack of defense against hand-to-hand attacks, especially with Spawn's formidable physical attack options. He's incredibly ferocious and incredibly fast. Now Spawn has fought against quite a few Hell Lords, but it's usually more of a matter of physical combat. He uses some magic, but not a lot at a Hell Lord level. So I'd give Doctor Strange the edge in terms of magic and magical attacks. Now Spawn can win some rounds due to purely physical attacks. But while Strange doesn't really have a physical game, he has been able to fight against and defend himself from countless demons who attack physically. Now Doctor Strange does have a lot of random showings where he struggles against more mid-tier characters, but when he faces against high-level opponents like Spawn, he usually manages to rise to the occasion. Putting all that together, I believe Spawn can win some, but I'd give it to Doctor Strange because of his greater magical versatility and just his higher level of power. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. So sound off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe button. More videos just like this one every single day. I'll see y'all next time.